The Snowman by Raymond Briggs. What if you knew from the very first moment that something magical was destined to disappear, that each laugh, each flight, each silent embrace would be the last time? Would you still relive that moment with all its intensity, or would you try to protect your heart, retreating before the pain arrived? The Snowman by Raymond Briggs is not a happy story. It's a love letter to impermanence, a melancholic whisper about the price of fleeting beauty, a painful reminder that everything we love, people, moments, magic, is destined to melt under tomorrow's sun. Imagine a winter night, snow falling like a silent blessing, a boy building a friend out of ice under the stars. At midnight, the impossible happens. The puppet comes to life, smiles, and extends its hand. Together, they fly over sleeping cities, cross icy oceans, and dance at the North Pole with other creatures made of snow and dreams. But magic has an expiration date. The sun always rises. And when the boy wakes up, eager to see his friend again, he finds only water, a handkerchief, and a hat. Traces of something that was real, but could never last. This is the saddest and most beautiful story about loss you will ever see. There are no villains, no mistakes, no blame, only the relentless law of time which takes away everything that cannot be held onto. Are you ready to cry? Ready to feel the bittersweet pain of loving something knowing you're going to lose it? So take a deep breath, because the Snowman spares no one, and perhaps that is precisely why he will never be forgotten. Snow falls for the first time that winter. This isn't ordinary snow. It's that thick, heavy snow that transforms the entire world into a white, magical silence. The boy wakes up, runs to the window, and sees the garden covered in snowflakes, the trees laden with fruit, the sky still gray, promising more snowflakes. He can hardly wait for breakfast. She puts on her coat, boots, and gloves, and runs out into the garden where the cold bites her face, but her heart warms with pure joy. Alone, he begins to build. Not just any doll, but the perfect doll. Robust body, round head, branch-like arms outstretched like a frozen embrace. He adjusts his scarf, puts on his hat, and draws a smile with small stones. And when he finishes, he takes a step back and smiles too, as if he had created not just a doll, but a friend. The afternoon passes. Night falls. The boy eats dinner, goes to bed, but can't sleep. Something pulls him back. Perhaps curiosity, perhaps a premonition, perhaps the silent loneliness of someone who knows that tomorrow the snow might melt and take everything away. He goes down the stairs, opens the back door, and looks out at the moonlit garden. And then the impossible happens. The Snowman moves. Turn your head, smile, extend your hand. The boy hesitates for only a second. Then he runs, hugs his icy friend, and together they enter a night that will change everything. No words were exchanged. There are no explanations, promises, or questions. Pure presence. Two unlikely beings, united by the magic of the present moment, knowing, or not, that it cannot last. The house becomes a playground. The doll explores each room, marveling at faucets that spout water, lights that turn on, and a television that shines. The boy laughs, proudly shows everything, and shares his world with those who have never seen it before. And then, the silent invitation. The puppet extends its hand again, this time pointing to the sky. The boy understands. It's time to fly. They jump off the balcony, and the impossible becomes reality. They fly over the city, over frozen forests, over the endless sea, towards the North Pole, where Santa Claus and other snowmen celebrate ephemeral existence, fleeting joy, beauty that doesn't last, but leaves a lasting mark. And when they return, tired and happy, the boy says goodbye with a tight hug, knowing or trying not to know that it might be the last time. He sleeps soundly, dreaming of snow, flying, and friendship. But the sun doesn't wait for dreams to end. The creation, snow, solitude, and the birth of a friend. The morning awakens silently, but not empty. The boy slowly opens his eyes, still wrapped in the warmth of his blankets, and notices something different. The light coming through the window is not the usual gray winter light. It is a pure, reflected, white light. He jumps out of bed, runs to the window and sees his name, Snow, everywhere, covering the garden, the trees, the roof of the neighboring house, the entire street transformed into a fairy tale landscape. My heart is racing. He can hardly wait. He puts on his pajamas under his winter clothes, slips on his boots, puts on his gloves, and runs down the stairs as if fleeing from something or rushing towards everything. The parents are still asleep. The house is quiet. Only the ticking of the clock on the wall marks the time that outside seems to have stopped completely. He opens the back door, and the cold embraces him tightly. But it's not a cruel cold. It's the kind of cold that awakens, that invites, that says, "Come, the world is new today, new." The construction of the doll, a solitary and sacred ritual. The boy walks through the garden, his feet sinking into the virgin snow, leaving tracks that are uniquely his own. There are no other children nearby. There are no neighbors watching. It's just him, the snow, and the silence, and that doesn't sadden him. On the contrary, there's a strange freedom in being alone in a transformed world. He chooses the perfect spot, near the fence, where the snow is deepest and the wind isn't blowing as strongly. It begins by gathering snow with your hands, shaping it into a small ball, then a larger one, rolling it across the ground until it grows, until it becomes the foundation of something bigger than yourself. The work is arduous, but enjoyable. Each handful of snow is a promise. Each shaped curve is a trait of personality that doesn't yet exist but soon will. He shapes the head with the same care, round, perfect, without rushing. Place it on your body and adjust it until it's balanced. Branches are branches found near the tree, not dead branches, but branches that appear to have been left there on purpose, waiting to become branches. Now comes the most important part, the face. The boy looks for pebbles for his eyes, choosing the two most symmetrical and shiniest ones. Place them gently, like someone planting seeds of life. For the nose, a carrot stolen from the refrigerator, and the smile drawn with small pieces of charcoal, curved upwards, cheerful, welcoming. Finally, the scarf and the hat. The boy goes inside the house, takes his father's old handkerchief and the hat that no one uses anymore. Dress the doll with care, adjust the scarf to protect the non-existent neck, place the hat at a slightly tilted angle, not too perfect, but with personality. When it's over, take a step back. The snowman is there, smiling with his arms open, as if he wanted to embrace the whole world. The boy smiles back, and for a brief and strange moment, he feels that he is no longer alone. DUALIS afternoon, night, and the returning loneliness. The afternoon passes slowly. The boy goes inside, drinks hot chocolate, has dinner with his parents, but his mind is outside, with the doll. He looks out the window several times, making sure he's still there, that the snow hasn't melted, that his friend hasn't disappeared. The parents don't understand the intensity of their son's gaze. It turned out very beautiful, they say, but they're already thinking about other things, other responsibilities. The boy goes to bed early, but doesn't sleep. He stares at the ceiling, imagining the doll outside, alone in the cold, under the stars. Does he feel cold? Do you feel lonely? Could it be that in some way he's also thinking about the boy? The hours pass. The clock strikes midnight. And then something inside the boy pulls him out of bed. Not a rational thought, but an impulse. A silent call that cannot be ignored. He walks down the stairs barefoot, careful not to wake anyone. He opens the back door, feels the cold biting his toes, but doesn't care. And there's the snowman, illuminated by the moon, shining as if it were made of solid light. The boy walks slowly towards him, and then it happens. The doll's head turns. Look at the boy. Smile, not with the coals, but with something deeper, something that transcends physical form. And he extends his hand. The boy hesitates for only a second, the time it takes for his brain to try to process the impossible. But the heart has already decided. He reaches out and touches the doll's hand. It's cold, sure, but not uncomfortably so. It's the chill of fresh snow, of pure winter, of the magic that exists outside the laws of the adult world. The puppet moves. He leaves the place where he was raised, takes his first clumsy but curious steps. The boy laughs, not in mockery, but with pure, uncontrollable joy. He gestures, "Come on, come and see inside." And together, boy and doll enter the house. Inside the house, the snowman observes everything with the eyes of someone who has never seen anything like it. The kitchen tap. The boy turns it on. The water gushes out. The doll recoils, frightened, then approaches, touches it with its finger, smiles. The light. The boy turns it on and off, on and off. The puppet claps silently, amazed. The television turns on, showing moving images. The puppet sits on the floor, mesmerized, like a child seeing the world for the first time. The boy shows everything. The refrigerator. The doll loves the freezer, of course. The toys. The books. The ladder. Every object is a discovery. every room an adventure. And in the midst of all this, the boy notices something strange and beautiful. By showing his world to the puppet, he himself rediscovers the magic of simple things. The tap is no longer just a tap. It's a miracle of water that appears out of nowhere. Light is no longer just light. It is a domesticated star. After exploring the house, the doll looks out the window at the starry sky, and he makes a gesture. He raises his arms like wings. The boy understands. It's time to fly. Have you ever had a friend who made you see the world in a new light? Someone who transformed the ordinary into something magical simply by being by your side? Comment, share, and get ready for Chapter 2, where the impossible becomes flight. The flight, when friendship defies gravity. The snowman reaches out his hand again, but this time, the gesture is different. It's not an invitation to explore, but to transcend. He points to the sky, to the stars, to the impossible. The boy hesitates. To fly? How? Why? But the snowman only smiles, that charcoal smile that now seems more alive than any human face, and pulls the boy by the hand, guiding him out, back to the snow-covered garden. The night is even colder, but the sky is clear and starry, as if the whole city had turned off its lights to let the universe shine. The puppet climbs onto the low fence, balancing with impossible lightness. Look at the boy. Extend both hands. The boy climbs up too, trembling, not from cold but from fear mixed with anticipation. And then it happens. The doll jumps over the fence, taking the boy with it. For a second, the boy feels his stomach drop. Fear take hold, but they don't fall. No, they float. Then they go up. The cold wind brushes against the boy's face, but it doesn't hurt. It's the wind of freedom, of adventure, of the moment when everything you've ever wanted to believe in becomes real. They fly over the garden, then over the house, then over the whole street. The boy looks down and sees his city from a perspective he never imagined. Small, silent, asleep, covered in snow, as if it were a giant nativity scene. He laughs, not a restrained laugh, but a guffaw of pure joy, like a child who has finally understood that impossible is just a word adults invented to forget that they were once children. The doll smiles, shakes the boy's hand, and they speed off. They fly over snow-covered forests, where the trees look like crystal sculptures, where each branch shines under the moon as if it were made of silver. They pass by a frozen lake, so smooth and perfect that it reflects the entire sky. And for a moment, the boy doesn't know if he's looking up or down, if he's flying or falling, if the sky is above or below. They cross mountains where the wind howls but doesn't touch them, where the snowy peaks seem like fingers pointing to the stars, where the world seems older and wiser than any story ever told. And then they cross the sea, the icy sea, where icebergs float like drifting castles, where whales dive and leap in silence, where the horizon is lost between water and sky, between reality and dream. The boy had never felt so free. There are no rules here, no schedules, no adults saying you can't. It's dangerous. Come back soon. Here, everything is allowed, because here, Everything is magic. Arrival at the North Pole, where loneliness turns into celebration. On the horizon, a golden light appears. They speed up, and soon the boy sees an entire village made of snow and ice, illuminated by thousands of lanterns, where bright white figures move, laugh, and dance. Snowmen, dozens of them, perhaps hundreds. They descend gently, landing in the central square. The other puppets approach, greet the boy with silent kindness, and embrace their friend as if reuniting with a long-lost brother. In the center of the square, an imposing figure, Santa Claus. Not the Santa Claus from the malls, but the real one. Robust, serious, but with kind eyes that seem to see everything, understand everything, forgive everything. He nods to the boy, offering a small gift. Not an expensive toy, but something simple, symbolic. A handkerchief, just like the one the doll wears. The boy thanks him reverently, puts on the scarf, and feels that he now belongs to that world, even though he is the only human there. The snowmen are dancing. There is no audible music, but everyone moves in harmony, as if listening to a song that only they know, or that everyone knows, but we forget as we grow up. The boy dances too. She spins, jumps, laughs, and for the first time in her life, she feels no shame, no fear of being judged. Here, nobody judges. Here, everyone is equal. Creatures made of ice and dreams, living in the moment because they know that the moment is all they have. But beneath the joy, there is a subtle sadness. The boy realizes, even without fully understanding, everyone there knows they won't last. The feast is not a celebration of eternity, but of brief existence. It's the ball of the damned, the dance of those who know the sun will rise and everything will melt away. And yet, they dance, because that's what you do when life is short. You live intensely, without saving anything for later. After hours or minutes, time doesn't make sense there. The doll touches the boy's shoulder. It's time to go back. The boy doesn't want to go, but he understands. They say goodbye to the other puppets, wave to Santa Claus, and ascend back into the sky. The return trip is quieter. The boy feels the tiredness setting in, but also something heavier, the feeling that something is ending, that this night will never be repeated. They land in the garden, exactly where it all began. The doll accompanies the boy to the back door. They look at each other for a long moment. The boy wants to say so many things. Thank you. Don't go away. You're my best friend. But there aren't enough words. So he just hugs the doll. And the doll hugs back. Cold but warm in a way that only true friendship can be. The boy enters, goes upstairs, and lies down on the bed. Sleeps soundly, dreaming of flying, snow, and friendship. But outside, the sky is beginning to clear. The sun is rising. Have you ever had such a perfect night that you wished it would never end? Have you ever hugged someone knowing it might be the last time? Comment, share, and get ready for Chapter 3, where the sun shows no mercy. Dawn. When the sun does not forgive, the boy wakes up slowly, enveloped by the warmth of the blankets. For a moment, he doesn't know where he is. He's still half in a dream, half in flight, half at the snowman party. But then the memory returns, clear and urgent. The doll. At night. The unspoken promise that nothing lasts forever. He jumps out of bed, his heart racing. He's still in his pajamas, barefoot, but it doesn't matter. What matters is getting to the garden, seeing his friend, confirming that everything was real, that the magic didn't disappear with sleep. He runs down the stairs, almost tripping on the steps. The parents are still asleep. The world hasn't fully woken up yet. It was just him, and the urgent need to find his friend again. The friend who somehow, in a single night, had become the most important person in the world. He opens the back door and see, the garden is empty, not devoid of snow. The snow still covers everything, still glistening in the dim morning light, but devoid of life. Where the snowman once stood, there is now only a puddle of water. The handkerchief lying on the floor was wet, the hat tilted to the side, the branches that were arms spread out, the pebbles in my eyes lost in the mud, the carrot on the nose half sunken in. The boy stops, frozen, not from the cold, but from the shock. He knew deep down, I always knew this could happen, but knowing and feeling are completely different things. He approaches slowly, as if the doll might still be there, just sleeping, just resting. She kneels in the wet snow, picking up the handkerchief with trembling hands. It's still cold. And then, finally, the tears come. The silent pain. Grief without words. The boy doesn't scream, don't sob loudly. She just cries silently, clutching the handkerchief to her chest, staring at the puddle of water, as if she could somehow rebuild her friend with sheer willpower. But the water doesn't turn back into snow. The sun never goes back. Time waits for no one. He remains there, kneeling for minutes that seem like hours. The cold snow soaks his pajamas, but he doesn't feel it. All you feel is the emptiness, that heavy emptiness that arises when something magical disappears, leaving only raw, indifferent, unforgiving reality. The parents wake up, look out the window, and see their son in the garden. "What is he doing out there?" the mother asks, worried. "I think the doll melted," the father replies, in that adult tone that tries to minimize the pain, that thinks it's just a doll explains everything. But for the boy, it's not just a doll. He was the friend who flew with him, who explored the house with pure curiosity, who danced at the North Pole, who hugged him before leaving. It's proof that magic exists, and that magic also dies. When acceptance is impossible, the boy tries to rebuild. Gather the remaining snow, mold it with desperate hands, try to give shape to what no longer has any form. But the snow is too soft, too warm. It doesn't stick, it doesn't hold. It doesn't turn into anything but water running through your fingers. He insists, try again, and again, and again, until finally he gives up. He sits in the snow, exhausted, defeated, and for the first time in his life, he understands a cruel truth that everyone needs to learn sooner or later. Not everything can be saved. Not everything can be stored. Some things exist only to be experienced and then lost. The mother goes outside, wraps the boy in a blanket and takes him inside. She makes hot chocolate and offers it to him with affection, but he barely touches it. "You had fun yesterday, didn't you?" she asks, trying to console him. The boy simply nods his head. It was special. She doesn't fully understand, but she hugs her son, and in that hug, there is something he needs. The reminder that even when we lose something, there is still someone to hold us up. The day passes slowly. The boy puts the handkerchief in the drawer along with the hat, not as a trophy, but as a memento, not of the doll itself, but of the night the impossible happened. And at night, lying in bed, he closes his eyes and sees it all again. The flight, at a party, the hug, and he realizes something important. The doll may have melted, but the memory hasn't. The magic may have ended, but what she taught remains. Psychological reflection. The beauty of the ephemeral. The snowman doesn't have a happy ending because life is finite and ephemeral. As the mystic apostle said, it's like a vapor, and in our dimension, it vanishes and doesn't have a happy ending. Everything we love, people, moments, feelings, is temporary. And beauty lies not in making things last forever, but in living intensely while they last. The puppet taught the boy the most difficult and most important lesson. Carpe diem, seize the day. To love knowing that we will lose. To live knowing that it will end. To hug knowing it's the last time. And yet, it's worth it. The next morning, it will snow again. The boy looks out the window and sees the covered garden, and he thinks, should I make another one? But this time he hesitates, because he knows that making another means losing another. And perhaps, just perhaps, that's what growing up is. Understanding that love hurts, but choosing to love anyway. Have you ever lost someone or something you loved deeply? How did you cope with the pain? Did he rebuild it, or did he simply preserve the memory? Comment, share, and get ready for the epilogue, where we discover the true meaning of never forgetting. What remains when everything melts away? Memory, grief, and the courage to start over. The snowman doesn't end with the puddle of water. It ends with what comes next. The heavy silence, the lingering memory, the question that never completely leaves your head. Was it worth it? And the answer is always yes, even with the pain, even with the loss. Because the alternative, never having built the puppet, never having flown, never having loved, would be much worse. The lesson of impermanence. Everything ends, but nothing is lost. Raymond Briggs did not write a cruel story. He wrote an honest story. Life is made of beginnings and ends, of building and melting down, of hugs and goodbyes. And trying to protect oneself from pain by avoiding love is the greatest tragedy of all, because it means dying before living. The boy could have stayed in bed, ignored the snow, and never built the snowman. It would have prevented the pain of dawn. But he would also have missed the most magical night of his life. He chose to build. She chose to love. He chose to take a risk. And that's why, even with a broken heart, he is richer, more alive, more human. The boy's grief is silent because some pains cannot be expressed in words. He can't explain to his parents that he lost a friend, because to them, it was just a doll. You can't tell your colleagues about the flight because no one would believe you. His pain is lonely, intimate, invisible, and perhaps that's why the Snowman resonates so much. We all, at some point, experience losses that no one else can understand. We've all lost something or someone that was magical just for us, and the world goes on, indifferent, while we carry the burden alone. Memory as a form of eternity. But there is hope in this story. Not the hope that the puppet will return. That would be dishonest. That would be denying reality. Hope lies in memory. The doll melted, but the night remains. The flight is over, but the feeling of freedom remains. The hug ended, but the warmth still lingers. The boy puts the handkerchief in the drawer, not as a dead relic, but as a portal. Whenever you touch it, the night returns, not literally, but emotionally. And perhaps that's what never forgetting means. The courage to start over. Building, knowing it will hurt the following winter it snows again. The boy looks out the window, sees the covered garden and feels the call. And this time he doesn't hesitate so much. Because he learned something essential. The pain of loss is real, but the pain of never having lived is worse. He goes downstairs, puts on his coat, gloves and boots, and he starts building another doll. Not to replace the first one, nobody replaces anybody, but to honor the lesson the first one taught. Life is worth living, even knowing it will hurt. And perhaps deep down, that is the definition of courage. It's not the absence of fear. It's loving even knowing you're going to lose. It's building even knowing that it will melt down. It's about embracing even knowing it's the last time. And to the final call to action is, don't be afraid to build your snowman. So the question remains, what are you avoiding building for fear of losing? What friendship, what love, what dream did you give up on because you were afraid of the sunrise? The snowman reminds us, everything comes to an end, but that's not an argument against starting. It's an argument for living life more intensely. Comment below, who was your snowman? Something or someone that existed briefly but left a lasting mark. How do you deal with the beauty of the ephemeral? Can you still build love, take risks, even knowing it will hurt? Share this story with those who need to remember that the pain of loss is proof that something was worthwhile. Subscribe to the channel for more stories that deeply touch you, that don't lie about life, and that respect your emotional intelligence. And always remember, the sun will rise and melt everything you love, but that's never been a reason to stop building snowmen.